China's latest growth figures have further prompted concerns over slowing global demand here in Korea, where exports are the country's traditional growth engine. Our Hwang Ji has sat down with World Bank Vice President for East Asia and Pacific region to talk about the global conditions Korea faces.
After experiencing a rapid growth for more than a decade, now China is going through a painful slowdown recently, and this is coming from the government focusing more on domestic consumption over government investment. What's your take on the transition in China?
Well, this has been a transition that we anticipated, we have expected it. If you are growing 6.9%, and even the bank is expecting in this year about 6.7%, you are talking about a substantial increase of an economy. Think of the 6.9, that is about $700 billion, so that's quite substantive. I think we need to see in the transition phase which sectors are going to be more challenged, which are going to be growing. And what our advice has been is to focus on that.
Exports to China account for a quarter of Korea's total exports. How would this transition affect Korea?
Well, first of all, indeed, it is 25%. It's important. Let's also add that Korea has been very successful to have 75% elsewhere, including, for example, ASEAN, Japan, and the rest of the world. I would argue that the 25% is also an opportunity. First, you have a very strong presence in the Chinese market. Secondly, that transformation means also China will have a rapidly growing middle class. So what the interesting transition is, you will have some producers losing out, but there will be new demands in other goods. Electronics is going to be very important, but also all the technologies that are able to adjust quickly to new market trends. Korea has been successful over the last decades to adapt quickly to new trends. It's not about, unquote, predicting which is the next successful product, an iPhone or whatever. But I think what will be important is, does an economy and do firms have the capability of adjusting?
So what do you see in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of changes in the regional dynamics?
I think what is very important is that the center of economic gravity is increasingly moving to East Asia. There are major powers in the region, and Korea is, as also a very strong economic power, could be actually very good as an integrator. Also, Korea could make a major contribution given its own successful development trajectory. The relevant comparator for Korea is not comparing your growth performance with other developing countries. It is with more advanced countries. That is the league in which you are right now. And this year the aspirations are to be in the order of 3%. That would make Korea one of the fastest growing advanced economies in the world. And there, I think in relative terms, you have been doing well.
It's very interesting to hear that we are in the level of advanced economies. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.